Welcome to another Killjoy tutorial. This video is going to be specifically my favorite retakes as Killjoy for every site in the game. If you don't know who I am, my name is Keeoh. I'm a content creator for Cloud9, and I am one of few Radiant Killjoy mains. I recently finished my Act Rank Dorito, and I'm pretty stoked about that. If you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I post a lot of Killjoy and Valorant related content, and I'm glad you guys have been enjoying it so far. Also, I stream pretty much every day at twitch.tv/Keeoh in the evenings PST. If you have any questions about Valorant, Killjoy, streaming, or pretty much anything else, I'd love to see you there. If you've seen any of my other Killjoy tutorials and you're in a game right now, you know that this video is timestamped, and you can jump to whatever map you're on, learn the way that I would retake the site, and then get back into your game really quickly. With that said, let's jump into the first map. All right, so we're on ASCENT, and for A site, I have a couple different retakes that I want to show you guys. So generally, when they're pushing in here, they like to smoke off right here. So while it's smoked off by either an Omen or a Brim smoke, you can sneak a turret out without really exposing yourself.
Turret out.
And since turrets see in 180 degrees, this is just going to cover a lot of sight. And by the time the smoke fades, you could kind of push with your turret. And while they're shooting at the turret, you can kind of just hopefully trade kills or bait your turret and get some information out of it. Now, since it's so open here, I wouldn't recommend putting an alarm bot down. You could try to fit one behind there, but if you do and somebody peeks you from A main, you're probably gonna die. So I'd recommend only using your turret when retaking A site. But if you think they could be in mid, you could put your alarm bot behind you just so that you know you're not gonna get flanked from here. So there are two different places to put your ultimate down for retaking A site. The first one is up here. This is just gonna clear all of A site.
Initiated. My ultimate.
And you can actually put it on this bar if you get really close to it and put it on top. It just makes it a little bit harder to wallbang, especially if they're like up here and it's smoked off and they're trying to spam it. It's kind of hard to kill that way. And you want to do that ultimate when this door is open, okay? If the door is closed, I'm going to show you a different ultimate that is way better. All right, so if this door is closed, you're going to want to do this ultimate. Put it on top of this box here, and then
Initiated. My ultimate is ready.
if you go back and hug this part of the tree, look up right here, throw your molly at about 7 seconds left. It'll land in the back corner of the map right here. And then by the time your molly lands, the enemy has a very difficult decision to make.
Swarm grenade out.
Either die to the molly or get detained by your ultimate. This is one of the most brutal retakes in the game. But the only problem is if the door is open, it's really hard to do this molly lineup because most likely if you're standing back here and the door is open, they're probably gonna kill you if you're just standing here looking up. Once again, this is the lineup. I changed my crosshair color so you can see it a little bit better. Stand back at the tree, and then you look up at this little kind of square on the tree, and then you can just throw it
Placing
right
swarm
there.
grenade. And
And it'll land perfectly back in line. And for B site, the same principle applies. Generally, if they're pushing in, they like to smoke off right here, and you can sneak a turret out, and this turret is gonna see both here and market, and it's gonna see back sight. So this will allow you to cross here safely, most likely. Otherwise, your turret will see them. And that way you can clear here, you can clear here for your team as you're pushing in. After that, you probably want to push up and clear logs, and hopefully you have somebody go B main. If nobody does go B main, you can go B main. But definitely clear that before you take sight because a lot of people like to lurk there for kills. I've done this before. If my turret does see somebody or I think somebody is around the corner, you could actually use your alarm bot to bait them out. And if somebody is right here, the alarm bot is going to detect them, or they're going to shoot it, and then you can swing while they're shooting the alarm bot. That's most likely going to be a free kill. For this site, there are also two different ultimates I like to put down. One of them being right here.
My ultimate is ready.
This covers pretty much the entire site except for back site. So what you need to do is just make sure nobody's in B main and push the site together. They're all going to be back site. So if somebody on your team has a Brimstone ultimate, that is a really good option. If not, just make sure to push with your team and trade out the kills for the people that are stuck in backside. And if you've already cleared B main, market, and CT, then this is a really good ultimate. You want to put it not on top of the boat here because this wall is very, very wall bangable. You don't want to put it close to here. So what you want to do is get close to the boat and crouch and slap your ultimate down. This will still cover the entire site. So if anyone is on site, you will detain them. If nobody's on site, you can pretty much get a free defuse off. Again, this is a super good ultimate. You just have to be really careful because if you do put it on top of here, they will be able to wallbang it. If you're pushing from A to B and you're gonna push in through CT, you could put an alarm bot or turret here. This is just gonna help watch your flank if somebody pushes up through market behind you. That is super, super helpful because then you don't have to constantly, check back here while you're pushing in and you're not gonna get flanked without you knowing it. All right, I think that is it for Ascent. Let's jump into the next map. All right, so we are here on Bind, and we're gonna start off with B site and how I like to retake B site. Generally, if they take B site, you're gonna have control of elbow, or at least you can push up and take elbow control. So what you can do is put turrets around corners. This is pretty much always gonna be a good idea. If elbow is smoked off right here, you can easily just put a turret down, and that just acts as, you know, information. If people are crossing, somebody's in hookah, and somebody peeks here, or planning default, like, basically, you can put turrets in smokes pretty much all the time, and when the smoke fades, you get a lot of information out of them. Same thing applies for here. If they smoke off here, you can put your turret, you know, somewhere like this. Make sure to not put it like directly in the middle because you don't want it to body block your teammates. Using your alarm bot for retakes is kind of risky because you're really exposed and kind of vulnerable. You're kind of caught with your pants down if somebody swings you. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend putting an alarm bot if you're retaking because it's much better to just be holding your gun out while you're pushing. A really good ultimate to do on B site is right here in this corner. But before you set it down, if you put a turret just somewhere around this corner or something, watching if anybody's gonna push in, this will give you so much information because if they push in, they're gonna shoot your turret first. You could stand right here and then boom, right when they start shooting the turret, you swing on them, and that allows you to keep your ultimate up and get a free kill, hopefully. And then, you know, that basically forces everyone into long or deep hookah, which is pretty much a round win if they planted in the middle of site. If they planted right here, you might not be able to get the full diffuse off, but it should detain a couple people if the ultimate does go off. Same thing applies if they smoke off heaven or pretty much anything. You can place a turret down and just get some free information out of that.
Coming back.
Even if there is no smoke, turrets see in 180 degrees. So if you put a turret down, you know, just like this, you're pretty safe. And then if somebody starts shooting at it, you can kind of bait your turret and shoot them in showers or something like that. Baiting your turret is just really good to get free kills. If people start shooting it, they're not gonna have that first shot accuracy, so when you swing them, you should be able to win that engagement if you're mechanically skilled enough to do that. This is one of few spots that isn't totally bad to use your alarm bot. So if you put your alarm bot around this corner, it's gonna clear pretty much most of U-Haul. The only spot that they could be and it not scan them is back here. And if they are, you know, you're gonna swing them with your gun out, but you're gonna be pretty safe while you put it down, as long as you clear right here. So I wouldn't recommend doing this every round because if you start doing it every round, then, you know, they're going to predict it and swing you when you're pulling out your alarm bot. So there are two different ultimates that I generally use for this site as well. The first one being back here. If you have no site control, you put your ultimate right here. This will cut off pretty much the entire site, and except they will have a little bit of access, you know, towards shower side, but it will force them all the way out into short. When I put this ultimate down, I like to put a turret on top of this truck here, because then when people are leaving through short right here, the turret's gonna go off. They'll get stuck in that hit stun where it makes them move slower, and then by that time, you could already be, you know, out in lamps here and swinging them while they're getting shot by your little turret. That is probably one of the most valuable turret spots and ultimate combinations like in the game. So if you have a little bit more control of the site and you know nobody is basically kind of towards logs or green box, you should put your ultimate down in this corner. This just allows you to get a little bit more cover on the map. It'll push them far into showers, and it kind of gives you a free defuse if nobody gets detained, because if you see, if they're, you know, planted right here, they have to push all the way up through showers or all the way up short. So generally, if that ultimate goes off and nobody's detained, you should be able to get a full diffuse off if they planted in like a default spot, because that detains them super far into showers and super far up short. You just need to have your team hold for you while somebody sticks to the diffuse with a couple seconds left on the detain. That should be good for bind. Let's move on to the next map. Okay, so we are here on Haven, and there are a lot of retakes that you could do on this map. So here we go. Let's start off on A site. Same principle applies. If they smoke off heaven, this is a great spot to put a turret, get some free information. When the smoke fades, you know, the turret gets some free information if anybody's long, short, close left. There's a lot of information out of your free ability. A good spot to put your alarm bot down to check if anybody's close left is just right here. That's just gonna clear close left. You can pick it up right after, and then you can move on with pushing with the rest of your team. This is just going to confirm that nobody's right here, and instead of, you know, swinging to peek it, you can use an ability, and then, you know, you're not going to get timing by somebody that's pushing out right here. You could also put a turret here if you want, but it is kind of risky because you're kind of hard peeking right here a little bit. You could get timing and swung, but generally you should be able to place this turret, and again, that's just going to help you. If anybody peeks out short, they're going to get hit by your turret, and, you know, it might confuse them a little bit, get them a little disoriented on what to shoot, either you or the turret. Basically, the more things that you have distracting the enemy, the better. So I like putting down my turret. If you have it and you haven't put it down in heaven, then might as well slap it down. If they're pushing into the site and you happen to be right here, you can push yourself into this corner, and then you're going to be looking at these little boxes, but with the marker next to your molly. If you see, I line it up right around there.
Placing swarm grenade.
In the sky. This molly just lands on the default plant. This is the most common spot that people are going to plant, and that molly lineup works really well. Here's a different molly lineup. This one also lands at default, and this one I lab myself. Basically, you just push in this back corner. It's a jump throw, so it's a little inconsistent, but if you're playing C site, this is a really good molly to just stop the defuse and get your whole team a little more time to rotate on the site. That lands in about the same spot as the other one, and yeah, it's pretty good if they plant default. All right, so there's generally one spot you want to put your ultimate down on this map, and it's right here. And provided they don't have a Sova or a Brimstone ult, they're generally not going to kill it. So, if you put your ultimate down here, and then you use the indicator for the right or left click above the molly right here, you line that up with about right there, the right side of it, throw your molly, and that throw lands back here, which puts them in a pretty tough position if they don't break the ultimate. So, that one's really nice. Generally, when I'm retaking A site, I like to leave an alarm bot right here, just because a lot of people like to lurk in mid and try to get a kill on somebody through here. If you leave your alarm bot there, you're just confirming that nobody's going to be pushing you. Obviously, if somebody on your team is flanking and they went through mid, there's no reason to have your alarm bot here, but it is a really good alarm bot to just hold flank. All right, for B site. B site, there aren't really like a lot of turret positions that I think are super beneficial to retake, because every time you get close to one of these doors, you could be swung by any direction. So I wouldn't recommend holding out your turret or your alarm bot while you're taking site. Instead, when I'm playing C, I put my turret right here. And if we're retaking B, I just leave my turret there because it's going to cover the C flank and it's going to cover the garage flank. And as long as I'm alive, we're basically confirming that nobody can be in window, nobody can be up C long, and that is a ton of information for the team. A good retake ultimate on B site is just right in this corner. You want to make sure that you're going to detain people that are inside, like they push into A link. So this pretty much forces everyone either into this little corner or window, up on C site, or in mid. Generally, everyone's going to go out mid. And if you have a teammate with smokes or anything, you can smoke off and try to get a defuse if they plant it in the front. So putting this ultimate down right here, and then just pushing together with your team should get you some free kills and hopefully get control of the site. So if you're rotating from A and they have control of C, there's a couple different things that you can do with your utility. One, you can put an alarm bot here just to watch window, and if your team is pushing through here instead, you don't really have to worry about that flank. But if somebody does push through garage on your team, you probably don't need that alarm bot. I generally don't like to run out here putting a turret down just because I feel like it kind of gives them a little bit too much information that you're going to be pushing from here if you put your turret right here. So I would recommend not doing that. You know, pushing with your team together, clearing this part of the site, and then what you can do is while you're safe, you've already cleared back here, putting a turret on top of this box is a really good thing because it's just going to peek along with you, it's going to peek garage with you, and that's just, you know, another deterrent that the enemies have to look at. As far as ultimates go, there's pretty much one good one here. You want to make sure to push up into this corner because I see a lot of people put it in this corner or like a little bit farther away or over here, and you kind of just leave some spots that are undetained. So you want to push up into this corner, and this is going to detain the entire site. So nobody's going to be able to play safe here, nobody's going to be able to play safe there. They have to either push into long or all the way out into mid, and if they push into long, it's pretty much going to be your round win, as long as you can win some aim duels or smoke them off. I think that's it for Haven. I kind of just realized that I think Haven is pretty much Killjoy's best map. The retakes on defense are so good. The attacks, the molly lineups, and just, I think this might be one of her best maps now that I think about it. It's pretty crazy. All right, let's move on to the next map. All right, here we are on splits. Let's show you how I like to retake A site here. If I'm smoked off in heaven, putting a turret down here is very good.
Turret out.
But again, that's kind of hard to do if you're not smoked off. This turret will clear this right side of heaven, which is super crucial because then you don't have to clear here, back sight, and right here at the same time. This is just going to be watching these angles for you. If you're not smoked off, just putting your turret right here is going to be a really good option just because that's going to be something else that the enemies have to shoot if they decide to peek from behind a map or back sight. This is another really niche place that the alarm bot is really useful to clear this right corner because a lot of people like to play right here. And if you put your alarm bot down, you can hide back here while you pull out your gun. If your alarm bot goes off, you can kill him. It's a really, really good use of your utility right there. The reason that you don't do this on every corner is just because this corner is very deep. So even by the time that you place the alarm bot and they shoot it, they can't get all the way into here by the time, you know, you're pulling out your gun. So that's basically the reason that you don't do it everywhere else is there are only certain spots that it's really good to clear corners with your alarm bot. So if you have your ultimate, you want to retake A site, this is a very, very good ultimate. I actually like to put my ultimate a little bit closer away from here because it leaves a bigger opening in back site and they think they're safe. But this is where the fun part comes in. We have a molly lineup that lands right back site. So it's pretty brutal. So before you place the ultimate though, you should probably put a turret or an alarm bot so that if somebody pushes, you know if they're gonna push right there. Obviously don't do both, but just pick one of them and put them down.
Calling my bot.
And then put your ultimate down a little bit farther away from the corner. Try to push back, hopefully have a teammate holding with your alarm bot, so if somebody swings and tries to kill the ultimate, they'll kill him. Stand back in this corner, and then you're gonna look at the bottom part of this glass right here and do a jump throw. This lineup is a little inconsistent. Sometimes it doesn't land in the perfect spot, but when it does, it is brutal because that is the only spot that they are not gonna get detained. And they have a very short amount of time to make a decision of, do I want to die to this molly or get detained on site? And most of the time, both are the wrong answer. So on B site, I generally only want to use my ultimate right here, just because this is gonna clear all of back site and push them into garage. So as long as your team has cleared heaven, this is probably the best ultimate for B site. I see a lot of people put their ultimate like right here, and this is just such a worse ultimate because it leaves this part of site open and you're not going to be able to get a defuse off in that time frame. If you put your ultimate down right here,
My ultimate is ready.
at about, 4 or 3 seconds left, they're all going to be in garage and you can actually start defusing like right about now and they can't do anything about it. Unless they have like a Sova ult or a Brimstone ult, they can't stop you from just completely defusing, which is pretty broken. Before you put your ultimate down in this corner though, you want to put an alarm bot out or a turret just to watch this so that if anybody's going to try to push and challenge you on your ultimate here. Generally when you put your ultimate though, you're going to be pushing out here with your team so that you can get full control of site and hold them in garage. If they're pushing into site and they have it planted and they went through B garage, I have a little bit of a lineup that lands right on B site. You're just going to look up, look at these leaves on the right side here while you're standing in this back corner, and then that should land right on the default spot. This is really good to just, slow them down. It's not going to do a ton of damage, but what your goal is with these mollies is just kind of like give your team more time to rotate so that you can retake together. When I'm retaking B site through heaven though, I like to use a turret out on rafters, and hopefully I have a teammate holding here with me so that, when I'm pulling out my turret for a couple seconds, that I don't get swinged and die from pillar or garage. This is just gonna kind of startle people when they swing out of wherever they are hiding, and this will clear that back site for you. It's not gonna clear all the way in the back corner, but if somebody's peeking, that's gonna let you know if somebody's there and if somebody's right here. But if you want to clear back here, you need to place the turret just a little bit farther back, so I wouldn't generally do that turret right up here. And you don't want to necessarily block your teammate with the turret, so realistically, if you have the time to line it up, you could put the turret right there, and then that's going to clear here, it's going to watch here, back site, and back pillar. So that's a really good turret spot for retake if you can get it off. Here's another good spot to put your alarm bot. As you can see, I can place it in hell, and they can't really see me, so as long as nobody's going to swing you from pillar or garage, or you have a teammate up with you, you can place your alarm bot down here without even really looking, and then you're going to know if somebody's hell. That's just going to allow you to push with confidence that you're not going to get shot from here, and then you don't have to spend time clearing, and then you're not going to get timed, by somebody that's garage or pillar. That should be it for splits. Let's jump into the last map, ICEBOX. Okay, here we are on ICEBOX. Now, this is my least favorite map to play Killjoy on, but there are still some really good retakes. Again, general rule of thumb, if you're smoked off, putting a turret down is just really good. So if somebody smokes off this spot, putting a turret down, it allows you to have that full setup time, and then by the time the smoke fades, your turret's ready to shoot somebody, and if anybody's holding a close angle, that turret's gonna go off. So general rule of thumb, do that on every map in every smoke that you can, pretty much. So if you're retaking A site, there's a good turret that you can put up right here. All you need to do is clear close and then the close rafter, and then you can just put your turret on top of the panels here. They'll probably shoot it before it goes off, but that's just gonna allow you to get some free information on where somebody is, even if they break it before your turret shoots anybody. This is probably the best spot to put our ultimate on A site. It's just in this corner right here behind screens. The reason I say this one over the ones that are in towards spawn is look at how far they have to push back to not get detained, and only like 2 or 3 people can fit right here. The others have to go all the way out to their spawn. So if nobody gets detained, you get a full defuse off pretty easily, especially if they planted like around this corner, or even on default. I'm pretty sure you can tuck in and full defuse before they can get from here to actually PQ up here. All right, we're over on B site. This is a really good spot to put your turret, even if you're smoked off. I mean, they generally smoke right here. Putting your turret down right here is really good because that's just gonna watch this backside of yellow if anyone pushes out. So That's really good, especially if you start swinging and peeking this side of yellow. Think about where your turret's watching, you know? It can't see that part of yellow, but it's going to be watching the close angle here. So if anybody pushes up or tries to swing you while you're fighting back here, this turret is very good to just give you that information that there is somebody behind yellow and they're on the other side. Same thing right here. If you're coming through kitchen, this is a pretty good spot to put a turret. This is just going to clear the same spot right here. If they shoot the turret, that's fine. You just swing them right after the turret's dead, and then you get a free kill with that. There aren't too many good ultimate spots for B site. I just generally wouldn't recommend using your ult for B site, because if you did it like super safe back here, they're still going to be like behind yellow, so there's no real reason to put it back here. If you've taken this much control of the site, you could put your ult down here, but then that forces them to just be behind yellow back here or towards their spawn. It's not crazy good. I honestly just would recommend not using your ultimate on B site here, just because if you put it in the tube where it would be useful, like think about this, if you put it in the tube, this would be really useful because, you know, they're gonna get detained all the way back there. They have to push all the way over there. The problem is, as you can see, they can just wallbang it. So there aren't really any great ultimate spots on B site. If you guys find one, let me know, because I don't really play a ton of Killjoy on ICEBOX anymore. I just play Viper, but I just don't love Killjoy on this map. I think her utility is very hard to use. Okay, I think that's it for my favorite retake on every site. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing. If you're new, like this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.